My guess is that you clicked on this video because of the title and the desire to not fail. I absolutely respect that point of view, and my hope is that I can offer up some tips and pointers in this video that will not only help you to not fail, but will position you to be successful. Because at the end of the day, regardless of your goal, when it comes to this hobby, my hope is that we will all be successful. Now, with that said, we're going to get to some tips and pointers, but before we do, I want to invite you, if you haven't yet, to subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoy the content, to go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. With that said, let's get to the tips. Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. As you heard in that brief intro, we are going to spend some time talking about how not to fail, but more importantly, how to be successful. And in my mind, so much of being successful starts with having a mindset that is rooted in the desire to be successful. There are a lot of people that operate from a position of avoiding a negative. I don't want to fail, which I absolutely get. But then you can also operate from a positive place of I want to be successful. But more importantly than that, you have to take meaningful steps every single day to achieve whatever that goal happens to be for yourself. Now, when you talk about goals, it starts with asking yourself some important questions. And sometimes these questions are very, very simple. The answers might not always be simple, but sometimes the very simple questions can lead you down a very good path to identifying how you want to be successful and then coming up with a plan to do that. I had a chance recently to talk with a company about how they could be more successful versus their competition. And in the first 5 minutes of the call, I asked them a single question that they were unable to definitively answer. And the question was, who is your customer? Now think about that for a second. If you have a business and you want that business to be successful, you have to identify who that customer is. Who are you developing programs and services for if you don't know definitively who that customer is? How can you be successful if you don't ask that question, answer that question, and then come up with things that help that customer? Comics and success in comics starts with very simple questions just like that. Why do you collect? Have you ever taken a moment to ask yourself why it is that you collect? And there honestly are no wrong answers, but you have to ask yourself that question. Do you collect simply because you enjoy reading comics? And if so, that's great. That helps you to identify what success looks like, to come up with a plan for being successful, and then to be able to measure, right, your happiness and your ability to achieve that goal. Are you in comics because you want to make money? There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if that is your motivation, it puts you in a really good place to define what success looks like, to come up with a plan, to take meaningful steps every single day to achieve that goal, and to measure your performance against that goal. Are you in this hobby because of habit? And there are a lot of people that go to the LCS every single week and they pick up comics just out of habit. Are you in this hobby? Do you collect because you have an addiction? There are people that have an addiction to spending money and they just happen to choose to spend money on comics. Again, there are no real wrong answers here, but you have to ask yourself the question of why is it that you collect? If you can ask yourself that question and answer that question to the point that I made earlier, it allows you to figure out what success actually looks like, to put a plan in place to achieve that goal, to take meaningful steps every day down that path, and also to measure your effectiveness. At this point in the year, a lot of people are doing annual performance reviews. They're looking in the rearview mirror at the things that they did or did not do in 2022 to measure against the goals that they set for themselves for the year. And very soon, people's attention will be turning to 2023. What are the goals? What are the things that we're going to do to be successful? How are we going to measure our performance? And while comic book collecting is considered a hobby by a lot of people, you can still create very specific goals for yourself that will allow you to be successful. And you have to decide what those goals are based upon the thing that is most important to you, the way that we talked about earlier in this video. So my hope is that as you turn your attention to 2023, you can start to think about this. What is it that you want from this hobby? What is it that you want to accomplish? Come up with some definitive goals for yourself. Come up with some metrics to evaluate your success, because I feel that if you are able to do this at the end of next year, you will be in a much better position to have had some meaningful success. I talk to people all the time about them taking some of the advice that I offer up in these videos, and they have reported back that they have found enrichment in the hobby. They have been invigorated by the hobby. They've been able to pick up some really awesome books as a result of having more focus and more purpose with the actions that they take. As you all know, this hobby can be very expensive, and you can spend a lot of money willy-nilly, or you can have focus. And by having focus, it again puts you in a position to be successful. Now, what's important about goal setting, whether you do it at work or you do it for this hobby, is that you also have to have a little bit of flexibility in that plan. And what I mean by that is that there are things that are going to happen in the larger environment, in the larger hobby, and in your own personal life that will require you to make pivots and to make adjustments. So if you have a specific plan that is written out, that is outlined, that tells you what you want to do and when you want to do it by, if you encounter obstacles, you have something to pivot against. You have something to adjust in order to, again, to achieve the goals that you set out for yourself. But if you have no plan, if you're going at it willy-nilly, you haven't asked yourself some tough questions around what it is that you want to accomplish, and you're just spending money any which way, at the end of the day, you're not going to be prepared to make adjustments. You're not going to be successful, and ultimately you will probably fail, but you'll spend a lot of money along the way. With that said, I'm going to wrap this video up. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And as I mentioned, if you did, I want to encourage you to hit the thumbs up button, to leave a comment behind. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to do that. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.